Yo,
It's good, man.
welcome by today, man. I know we had this conversation a few times, but what brought us here today?
Um, well, basically, I just wanted the people to get a better understanding of my personality, as far as like the way I think and my mindset, how I implement it into my music and create my music.
Okay, so
So,
I know business. I know business 516. I know biz, and I know it's business, baby. Which one we going with today, or which one you want the people to know?
Business 516, man.
Why business 516 out of all those?
Um, Basically, just me being a Long Island native. I was the first rapper to put 516 from Long Island in his name,
Attached to it.
as far as social media is concerned. So, shout out to everybody who followed suit. But a lot of Long Island people are afraid to like express themselves as being a suburban because of the stereotype that people get from being from Long Island.
Okay.
And I think when when it comes to like not to glorify the street shit,
Okay.
but a lot of people in NYC separate Long Island, like
Yeah.
the five boroughs.
Absolutely.
So when you around people from the like me growing up, whether I be in Brooklyn, Harlem, whatever, I start explaining my childhood stories, and niggas like, what, you live in Long Island, like, and that's the part that a
Yo,
lot
I
of
got
people,
green grass over there.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I hear
yeah,
you.
like,
Yeah.
so I that made me want to embrace it more, because no matter where you from, you know,
There you are.
yeah, like you know what I'm saying,
Okay,
it's important. You crash landed here, you met up with these people here, and it's a reason why you're here. As far as your demographic, that your childhood friends and your first love, your first crushes, and all of that. So
Absolutely.
I just was like, yo, let me embrace that, because it's like, where I'm from, where we're from,
Yeah.
it was a lot that went on the other side of the coin that wasn't so peachy. So me being an artist, whether they be first-hand experiences or second-hand experiences, I wanted to put it into my music to let the rest of the world know, like, listen, this is the other side of Long Island. This is what goes on. I could vouch for this, and everybody that I'm from, they could do too. They can also. So,
All right, so before you get too deep into that, because I know where you're going with it, let's take it back to the beginning.
okay,
Let's take it all the way back.
okay.
What got you into music?
Well, when I was younger, um, at the time, my father he was a pimp. This is the time he was pimping.
By the way, this is all facts. I'm from the same town. I just want that to be clear. This is like,
Yeah.
he's not lying. So, but go ahead, though.
So my one day, my mom and my sister and my brother, we all took a trip to Atlantic City, and my father, I overheard. I was young. I was maybe 8, maybe 9 years old. And my mom was like, yo, your dad got to take care of some business. We're going to Atlantic City for the weekend. So we went down to Atlantic City, and my dad had picked up, these two women or whatever. And like on the way there, like we was stopping at stores and stuff, and my mom was picking out clothes for them. And I'm like, yo, I'm young though. I'm like, oh, but when I got older, I'm like, oh, these is hoes.
Yeah.
Like, so I respected it. Like, so when we was in a hotel room, and I never forget, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Thuggish Ruggish Bone came on. And I was like, yo, who these dudes from Ohio? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
facts.
they
Especially with their style of rapping.
yeah. So I was like, yo, these niggas is nice. Like, I always like rap, but it was like they all looked like me and my brother. Like, they used to call me Lazy Bone.
Absolutely.
They used to call
Long hair, light skin.
yeah.
Facts.
So we was like, yo, it was like, so I'm like, I'm about to write my rhymes. Like, so I just started writing rhymes like probably when I was like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And I remember my cousin Dallas, his stepfather had a keyboard, and on the keyboard he used to like make little Casio rhythms or whatever. We used to just like bullshit around and rap, and rap around the beat or whatever. And his older brother was in a group called Fab Five with Ammo,
Yeah.
Strategist,
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, we could do this, man. Like, So then that's from that point on, I was like, yo, this is dope.
Put pen to paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your brother, your moms, and your pops.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other siblings?
Yeah, I got 2 older siblings from my dad. Before he met my mom.
Okay.
I got a brother and a sister.
Okay, I was waiting for you to say that because you said in your song, your older brother bagging up, bumping Ruck L, but I've never met your brother.
Yeah.
I've never even heard you speak of him. So
Yeah,
I was trying to see, like, I wanted to understand what that bar meant.
My older brother, bagging up, bumping Ruck L. When he used to live with us when we was and when we moved back to Westbury, and he used to always play Smith and Wesson, and Ruck L was one of the members.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that's where they named Smith and Wesson. I didn't know that
Yeah.
Ruck L was a member. Oh, okay, now
Yeah.
they got the song "I Love You" with Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Ruck. I don't, whatever. So he used to always blast the music, and he'll be cutting his drugs up, and putting them in in his little baggies and shit. Yeah, like so. I just 45 on the dresser.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like. But to me, it was like it was normal. Like,
mind you, you're from Long Island. Remember that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I never like glorified that shit. Like when I was younger, like I wanted to do everything opposite of my dad, even though my dad was my hero. If that makes sense. Like.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be famous for being a drug dealer. That was already.
Hold on, let's not go too far. We're gonna talk about that later on. We're gonna talk about that later on.
So basically, older brother bagging up, bumping Ruck L. Like, every day before he got ready, he'll bag his drugs up, he'll bump his music, he'll take a shower. He got the cross colors or car canal, whatever.
Whatever was that hot at that time.
Yeah, whatever was hot at the time, and then he'll hit the block, and then that's when he got his little, got his weight up or whatever, and the rest is whatever history. But that's basically what that line came from.
Okay, so now, I couldn't wait to ask you that because I'm like, yo, who is this guy? I never met him, but I'm glad you was able to point that out. Now, the name Bizness, where did that come from?
Basically, it came from when I was in high school, I had a hard time with finding a rap name. I used to call myself Star Time. I used to call myself LP. And it was an acronym for like little player, you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that. But the biz stuck when I had started, I recorded my first mixtape on the cassette tape with Mac.
Okay.
And I think we was in like 8th grade or whatever. And he, like, yo, he get busy. Like, he handling business on like, he doing his thing. Like, so it was like, yo, I'm gonna call myself Bizness. Like,
that's interesting because another line that I was a little confused about, barely touching that and got a name called Biz. Barely touching that and got a name called Biz. I was caught off like, what is the correlation in that?
Yeah.
So that's what.
So that was before I was able to dunk.
I got you.
So when I was barely touching that, it got a name called Biz.
Okay.
Now I can touch
the rim now. Yeah. Okay.
So it was like a coming of age type of thing where it was like, everybody, when you growing up in the park, everybody have contests of who could touch the net, who could touch the backboard, who could, but before people was even, I would say talented in basketball, I was already rapping. I was in ciphers, I was battling people,
So you compared the two.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah,
now.
it's like it was running consecutive.
I got you.
So
make a lot of sense now. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I be at the crib like trying to do my rap
cipher,
genius myself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm glad I'm able to even express that because a lot of people they don't really understand or they don't get the lines or really know where I come from
or even take the time to ask.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. So I'm happy that we here.
Yeah.
So
I grew up not side to side by you, but I grew up watching you a lot. I know you from basketball and I know you definitely from music, right? I remember back then used to be ciphers in the park. You will always grab my attention amongst everybody because I always tell you, you very witty. First of all, you funny as hell. So I'm glad that you're showing that side because I feel like the last few years, I feel like you've been more on a serious tip. And I always call you out on it like, nah, this ain't the biz I know.
Nah, 100%.
So judging from back then to now, what do you feel has been that big change in your life? Because you have calmed down a lot. You used to be in the center of attention, but I feel like you shied away from that lately.
Yeah, I have, and that's 100% right. Well, the reason is because certain things that added to my enlightenment. Because there's some people who grow, but like they don't learn nothing.
Big,
You know,
big,
there's
yeah.
people who become parents, but they never mature themselves. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's
Then the
like,
cycle continues.
yeah, and I think that that's a result of a lot of people like not wanting to make a sacrifice. Excuse me, at a pivotal point. I remember when I was younger, right? You know, rest in peace, Father Marv.
Yes, rest in peace.
I remember we used to have Newcastle Day, and all the like mad rappers from Long Island used to come to the park, and I was like maybe about, man, I had to be like 8 or something like that, bro. We was in the park, word, and Father Marv, he was DJing, and you know he's going around the park, and Tribe Called Quest was in the park, because my cousin's right hand man Dino and Ronald used to go around the world dancing, and Ronald, he used to come to my crib all the time. I used to be like, yo, teach me how to backflip. He was in the Bonita Apple Palm video.
Okay.
The dude with the wild hair.
I can't say I remember. I know the song.
Yeah, well, he was doing the backflips and the by the graffiti wall and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was his name was Ronald.
Uh-huh.
So I remember De La Soul pulled up, EPMD, and I never forget the one that passed away recently from Tribe Called Quest.
I'm not sure.
Was it
I'm
Tribe
not
Called
sure
Quest
the
or
name.
De La Soul? It was one from De La Soul, the chubby dude. Y'all remember him?
Nah,
Well, I remember he was standing next to Father Marv, and Father Marv gave me the mic, and I was just on the mic freestyling, whatever, and he was hyping me up.
yeah.
Like,
You 8,
so
9 years old, you saying
I'm
whatever.
like, yo, it was like, yeah, you know, I didn't know what the fuck I was saying, but you know, it was an experience to be like, yo, like,
And it was a start to who you are today.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Things like
yeah.
that happen just randomly for random people.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
what's great about it is that you do remember where you started. You know what I'm saying? And it just happened to fall in your hand. And you got
Yeah.
away with words, you know what I mean?
Appreciate it, man.
Like I said, you also mentioned your brother, who I feel has a way with words. But
Yeah.
you know the funny thing about you too, and what it taught me in life was like you could see two people come from the same parents and be total opposites.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%. Son.
So, were you his reason for rapping?
He would have to answer that question, but like a little brother, everything I did, he was right behind me.
Yeah.
Not to say he wanted to be like me,
Yeah.
because he's not like me.
Yeah.
You know, he has his own identity, and you know how it is.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
who know us, they like him for his reasons, and they like me for my reasons.
Absolutely.
So, but he definitely was like a balance. That's why you know, growing up, we had a group called Touch and LP. When I was like maybe 15, but before that, we had a group we called U-Turn. So he's always been around, but as far as like Touch and LP, we had a meeting with Ed Grauer, which was Cash Money's lawyer at the time.
You talking about the Birdman Cash Money or the Ja Rule Cash
No,
Money?
Birdman Cash
Okay,
Money.
because I just learned it was two different ones. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we had a conference call or whatever. Then we had met with him in Manhattan. I think it was Ed Grauer. He was a lawyer for them, and we were structuring a deal for us to be shopped or whatever at the time. And I remember my brother, he never really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it was always me. And Nickelodeon actually wanted to sign him when he when he was 14, but he didn't take the deal because they wanted to split us up.
He wanted to be with his brother,
Yeah.
family, you know.
So, you know, like
I wonder if he regrets that. That's funny.
Yeah. Right. So, like, you know, like as far as that is concerned, but that was a result of him holding his own weight.
Okay.
Because ever since we was younger, we wrote our own raps.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was somebody.
No, you can clearly see the difference. Like,
Yeah.
what I would say from my version of, well, from my opinion on it, and what I think the streets would say is like he's a lot more aggressive.
Yeah,
Whereas you're
yeah.
a lot more calm on the
Yeah,
beat.
yeah,
like,
yeah, 100%.
You know, you could definitely see the significant difference between both of you guys.
Yeah.
Both of you guys are dope.
Yeah,
like,
thank you, man.
Extremely, you
Appreciate
know what I
it.
mean?
Word.
I hope he still rap. I haven't heard anything lately, but
Nah, he ain't been rapping in a while, but he gonna be on the new tape though.
Okay.
He gonna be on Still Driven Part 2.
Okay. Before we get to that, I do want to bring up your father, who I know as Big H, who I feel is a big impact on your life.
100% facts.
Who is he, and what does he mean to you?
Well, I mean, like everybody,
May he rest in peace as well.
100%. Rest in peace. All praises due to the universal prime creator for the ascension of his soul. He, I always loved my dad because he was a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, even when he was doing, you know, busting his gun, you know, selling crack, he always was a good person. You know, he always gave a lot of himself to people.
Okay.
You know, I used to see him when, you know, we'd be in a car with him and he'll be making his jabs or whatever. He giving niggas extra crack.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
on
Extra coke. Like, here, take that. Like,
I mean, yeah.
I remember he had something called the luck of the break. He used to cook up like maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 40, 50 grams.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that. And he used to just, whoever paid, what you got, $10? He'll just break whatever.
Yeah.
And whatever you got was what you got. He used to call it the luck of the break.
Oh, I feel you.
So it's like Robin Hood type shit. So, you know, he always was prominent. You know, he drove trucks on and off, you know, and more importantly, he was on drugs. You know, a lot of my childhood, he was on crack, 100%, 100 miles an hour, you know, whether him, you know, abusing my mom or, you know, just smoking crack in the basement, like.
But back then, that was the thing.
Yeah,
you know
it was like, that was like
cool.
smoking weed.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. A lot of people forget that part.
Yeah. So, I never forget, man. One day I was at my grandmother's house and I was like, yo, Dad, like, where you at? Like, but you know how it sound when you on the phone in the county?
Yeah.
You got that echo. Like, man, niggas like,
Yeah.
yo. So I remember, like, yo, Dad, where you at? It's like, so he was like, yo, man, I came to get some help. So I'm like, what you mean? Like, this is like 90, maybe 91.
Shit, that's a lot better than your daddy went away to school or some shit, which I used to hear, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I used to hear that shit all the time, you know what I mean? Like, crazy, son.
Yo.
Daddy got work.
Yeah,
At
facts.
least he's trying to tell you something.
So he's like, yo, and it was funny because like 2 weeks before, I seen it. Remember back in, I don't know if you remember back in the day, but they used to have something called the 12-step program. It was like a
rehabilitation program. I got
for
you,
people like 12 steps and you know until they graduated and I don't drugs no more. Like, whatever. Like,
Trying to get out early. There you go.
And I remember that vividly. So when I got on the phone with my dad, he was like, "Yo, Daddy got a drug problem. Like, Daddy need help."
Yeah.
Straight up, he told me this, and that's one thing I commend my parents for. They never hid nothing from me. Like I said, we shopping for prostitutes.
Yeah.
In Atlantic City, but whatever. So
it's funny because I don't mean to cut you off, but for your listeners, like the song "Be the Man," that shit hit me because it's like our fathers were tight like that. You know what I'm saying? They lived a similar lifestyle.
Yeah, that's
so
a fact. That's a fact.
Like when I listen to you and your brother, like that's probably one of my favorite songs by you. Like the hook right there is like fire. Even down to the echo you doing it. Like I listen to all that shit, bro. Like that song right there really signifies everything you are saying right now. That's how I know you're not lying. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Telling the story of they raid in the crib and all of that. So
kicking in the door and all that shit. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so basically my dad, you know, he had that honor.
Yeah.
Whether he was under the influence of drugs or he was at his best.
He was a real person throughout it all.
Yeah, so that's what I commended about him. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he came home and then that's when we had moved on Terrace.
You lived in TA, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we moved on TA for like maybe about a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, building 67. And you know, that was a whole nother world.
This is after the 12-year bid.
No, it was before.
Oh, before that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they actually they raided the day before they raided my house in Westbury. They raided the apartment we had just moved out of.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they was really hunting for him.
Yeah. So you know, it was a detective that was later brought up on charges. You know, his name was he was infamous. It was like from Training Day, and dude's name was Frank Puma. And my mom got pictures, but when they kicked in the door, they like spray painted the house like "We got you now." And,
oh wow.
Yeah. So it was a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like my family was traumatized by it. You know,
I can imagine, bro.
It was like that environment where we couldn't sit in our emotions. And I think that's a problem in the black community. Is that people don't ingest and absorb their emotions. Yeah. They're always on a run because they're in survival mode, and they kind of like push their feelings to the back burner to continue through life.
That's how we was taught, though.
100%,
you know especially 100%.
Men. Me, I was at that point before. You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason why I express myself so much the way I do and talking about my shortcomings on record.
Yeah.
Because, yo, win, lose, or draw, your truth is your truth. Whether you feel defeated, whether you feel like, oh, people gonna laugh at me for this or laugh at me for that, yo, homie, that's your truth. Like, you gotta take that and, you know, use the alchemical, how you say, formula to turn it into something great.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to put it into your passion. So that's what I did. I was like, you know, I got to let the people know, but I can't sit in my emotions and be emotional about it.
Because you won't move.
Yeah.
You won't move.
So, that was basically it or whatever. But,
So, you know, that's a good segue to say, like, you have been on this spiritual journey, I believe. You know what I mean? I've noticed that, like, talking to you, sometimes I talk to you just to get answers of questions I ain't even asked you, because you'll take me there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
What started that?
Well, my family, you know, ancestrally, well, I'm gonna say a lot of African Americans or whatever, you know, wherever your ancestral roots come from, especially in the Caribbean, you know, we're naturally spiritual people, just by intuition, because we're children of the earth, and we connect with the earth, and the earth connects with us.
Okay.
The earth talks to us, we talk to the earth intuitively. That's why nature is so important to get involved in and to be to become aligned with, because you'll get the answers you need, whether it be, you know, for your family, my family, however, everybody's on their own spiritual path. And I was just in the search of me finding mine because of all the things I was going through. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So you, good morning or grand rising?
I'm Grand Rising.
Okay. I respect
I'm
that.
Grand Rising, you know, because you know, good morning just means that, you know, good morning, like morning death.
Yeah.
And that was something that was, you know, put into our vocabulary to kind of curse ourselves.
Okay.
So I say Grand Rising because when we wake up, our soul comes back from where we originated from, and it rises the body.
Okay. After that rest.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you have to go, not to get too deep on this, but when
take
you
us there,
sleep,
bro.
your soul has to go to where it comes from in the galactical heavens to re-energize itself, and then come back to the body, because the body, where we at in the 3D realm, we vibrate too low, and sometimes the soul gets it's like a battery that runs out fast because it's vibrating here and it's stuck here, so it's carrying something real heavy, because we know that the slower molecules move, the more dense something is.
Okay.
So the soul is here and the body's here. So what happens is that when we come back into our bodies, we're weighed down, because of that's why it's important about what we put in our bodies to eat.
Absolutely.
What we ingest, because we don't only ingest through the mouth, we ingest through the ears and through the eyes.
Even breathing.
Yeah. So you got to be careful on, you know, what you watch, and just be mindful and conscious. So, you know, all of these things that I was just finding my path on, I just was like, you know what, it's a calling, because it's a reason why I'm here. I ain't come here to clock out. I ain't come here for nobody to clock me out.
Yeah.
I ain't come here to do life in prison.
Absolutely.
So I got to find out my purpose. And that's why the number one thing that started driven, when I seen everybody was like gravitating towards me in the neighborhood, I said, you know, be inspired to inspire others.
And that was one of my questions. I'm glad you brought that up, because I always wanted to know your definition of driven, because, you know, people use it in their everyday life. I'm driven to do this.
I'm driven, man.
Yeah.
We got grind. Like.
but you really implemented that in your life. So I'm glad you was able to say that. I got a few words that I want to throw out there, and I don't want to tell you what it is. I want you to say what it is and what they mean to you.
100%.
Prospect Avenue.
Prospect Avenue, man. That's P Street. You know. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Drolix, man. No, that's where it all went down at, man. You know, that's where all the drugs were sold. That's where, you know, everybody was, you know, doing their thing, pimping. That was like, you know, the main strip. That was like the show, the stage, you know.
Because you glorify it in your music. So I know that's one word that I know sticks out to you.
Yeah, it's like, you don't know. When we walked to the block, when I was a kid, ain't no telling what you would have saw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a fact.
You got dice games over here. You got niggas shooting at each other uptown. Like, it was a lot.
And it's funny you say that, because I lived in the city for X amount of years, and you, like you said, NYC look at us differently.
Yeah.
But what I realize is like you said, everything that's going on, and this is Prospect Avenue. We're in close proximity because we're a small town.
Yeah, very small.
So when
very
people from the
small.
city say, "Oh, this and that," it might be from the other side that you don't even know these people. It just so happened
Yeah,
it's on the news
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
But we actually
Yeah.
know these people. You know what I mean? And everything that's going on. So I like that. I like that answer. BMWs.
That's where the other half of driven. The driven thing, it was a double entendre because I always been into cars. I'm a car enthusiast. You know, when I was young, I used to watch the Le Mans races, NASCAR races. You know, you didn't see. I remember one time you was young, and I was working. I was working as a porter, and this dude had traded in a 300ZX twin turbo, and you and Brian was walking up Maplewood.
He was right in front of my house, bro.
Yeah.
Wilding in front of my grandma.
I popped the clutch, and I was doing donuts and that shit. Like, whoa. I had
If I remember, it was red. If I remember,
yeah, it was
clearly.
burgundy.
Yeah, burgundy.
Facts.
Okay, yeah.
Facts. Yeah,
Said, this dude is bugging out.
300ZX twin turbo, and I was like I was like 18 maybe.
Yeah.
And I was wilding in that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was, you know, I always had a thing for cars. You know, I was a car enthusiast. I always
bro.
went to car meets. You know, and you know, I had my car club.
Yeah.
You know, coming up. You know, all my friends, we all had BMWs.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't. I drove BMWs to school. My first car was a BMW. Like, and this is not a thing to like sound like I'm flexing. It was just a part of us.
Yeah,
like, you know, because the ones that came before us in the neighborhood, they all had dope cars.
Okay.
You know, Westbury had a lot of dope cars, cars you wouldn't see other places. You know, like people back in the days had the old school, the E30 M3, the one from Paid in Full.
Okay.
Whether it be a Corrado VR6s, Lamborghinis, like what you name it, it came through Westbury. And that's, remember Damien had the NSX.
Yeah.
Like,
now you definitely the first person I've seen speak about, drive them, and it was like you made me like them because seriously, that's all you ever talk about. You put it in your music.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
I
like,
love them, man. I think that's the best car ever made, bro.
I can agree with that. West Money.
West Money, that's a word derived from Westbury. But being that growing up, you know, everybody, the ones older than us, and us coming up under, you know, like the 9 to 5 crew and all of them, and us, we was doing our thing, you know. Shout out to Rich Kids, you know. Shout out to Mad Mob, you know. Shout out to the 9 to 5 crew, you know, the Rule Boys, all of them. You know, they was always about they paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And we're not a town like in other parts of Nassau that's surrounded by other black towns. All the towns around us are white people.
Yeah.
So everything that was created had no outside influence.
Yeah.
And that's what I love the most about it.
Definitely was from the core.
So I used to always, you know, I pop my shit when I'm uptown. Uptown like Harlem. Or I'm in the Bronx to go see my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, where you from? I'm from the money, baby. Like, I'm from West Money. Like, you know, this is what we do. Like, you know what I mean?
You definitely
like,
put the name on the map. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, I appreciate that. So, you know, me and my brother one day was like, yo, we should just call that shit West Money. Like, because we don't like to say Westbury. And then being that there was so many people smoking dust from our neighborhood.
Absolutely.
I ain't like niggas calling that shit Wetberry.
Yeah, or Dustberry.
Yeah, Dustberry. So it's like, yo, my nigga, like, let's not forget, my nigga, like, yeah, I get it. It was a lot of people on dust, but then them niggas be taking $15,000-$20,000 out their pocket, high on dust.
Look what you just said about your pops. You know, he was, you know, battling his demons, but he was able to, you know, have his own money, take care of his family. You know, they was able to manage back then. You know what I mean? So,
and I asked him too. When he finally came home, and I was like 22, 23. I was working with him or whatever, and I said, "Yo, Dad, what was it that really made you want to get off drugs?" Like, cause you know some people like, "Yo, man, I just can't quit." Like, you know, like, you know how niggas just can't, and it's like,
man.
So he told me, he said, I looked at y'all one day, and I said, I can't do this, man. I'm hurting my family. And he said, y'all. He said, y'all and God. That's what he told me. And I said, I respect that. You know what I mean?
Who better to fight for? You know,
man.
family,
so,
man.
you know, all praises due to the Most High, man, the universal prime creator of everything.
So, you know, that explains the bar. Blame Prospect Avenue.
Yeah.
Long Island was the state. West Money
is
be
the capital.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because you do represent that shit harder than anybody I know.
Hard.
Put it on your back.
Yeah.
But it also puts me in a funny place with asking this question, and I'm asking it respectfully because again, when I was younger, watching you, like you said, it was a crowd around you.
Yeah.
Everybody your man's this and that. These days, You seem like a one-man army.
Very, very in my solitude.
I mean, so explain what that means to you and why you even had to get here.
Well, one thing with that is I learned that everybody ain't you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's a big one.
Don't nobody owe you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you did for them, no matter nothing. You know, it don't matter how it go.
Yeah.
However the leaves fall, and the people you get acquainted with, a lot of them are temporary, and that they have expiration dates. And
Whether good or bad.
Whether good or bad. And when you grow in a certain direction, sometimes you might grow apart.
Absolutely.
And I see it on the flip side is where people, they hold on to those relationships for superficial reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be forcing relationships, like not realizing that, you know, this had its time. Like, it's time for y'all to go y'all separate ways. There's no beef. You're not creating no new enemies, but you just outgrown each other.
Yeah.
You see it happen in relationships. You know, a lot of relationships end because the other has outgrown the other, or they both grown, but they grew in different directions.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because before I got here, right, me riding with my girl, we went to take my son somewhere. I put on Reminiscing, right?
Okay.
It's a line it's a line that's similar to you saying, you was basically telling the girl in the song.
You know, that was Jesus. That was about.
I know it.
Yeah, but I was talking to Jesus. That was a real conversation.
Yeah, I know you said at the
gas
store.
station, buying Dutchess.
Exactly.
In a car with two white girls. I think they was from Suffolk.
Yeah. Nah, that was a hard song, bro.
Yeah.
So
thanks.
that line in the song, you just made it to, like, you talking about Bellamy.
Yeah.
You made it. It's in comparison to what you just said, because you said sometimes it's like you can outgrow somebody for the good, and it's almost like you told her you did the good thing by leaving me.
Yeah.
Because you were taking accountability.
100%. What happened was, I won't say her name, but we had went to Panama, and
hey, back then you was traveling.
05. Nah, you know, because her father was Panamanian.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, "Yo, come through."
We ain't gonna talk about that. You was there, you heard?
So he was like, "Yo, you want?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." So the whole time when we was on the trip, I remember we got on the plane on the way back. And I said to her, I said, "Yo, listen, man, like, I'm your first, but that don't mean I'm gonna be your last."
Yeah.
And I said, right. "You about to go away to school." And yo, she might hate, I don't know how she feels about me right now, but she could vouch that I had this conversation with her. Because me and her dad was gonna go with her to help her move on campus.
Okay.
So I said, "Listen, you know, if you want, we could take a break for the 4 years. We could figure some things out. When you graduate, if we want to come back together, you know, we could do that." She was like, no, we gonna make it work. What you talking about? I like all of that bullshit. So I was like, all right, you know, it didn't work. You know, I won't get into detail on, like, how it played out, but it didn't work. But and when I was in relationships, since I was young, I always sat at the table on both ends.
You gotta put yourself in people's shoes.
Because I don't want to always. You're not entitled, like, you don't own nobody.
Absolutely
like you have a wife, you have a girlfriend, but you don't own them. You know what I'm saying? Those people are sharing their happiness with you. You know, and then you have to be happy with yourself before you even come into relationships with these people. Because you hear a lot of people, the outlook on love is kind of fucked up these days. Because people be like, "Oh, yo, you complete me, yo." Like, yo. It's like, my nigga, like, you supposed to be completed before.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
when you're on a plane, they say you got to put your mask on even before you get to your kids.
Yeah.
You got to take care of you first.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. So, you know, I get it. People, you know, we're developing as a people and all of that, and just coming out of our traumas, being from impoverished neighborhoods, and our outlook on romance, and because what happens is a lot of people lean on their spouses to escape their trauma. Yeah. So they become codependent. Yeah.
And then you pull that energy on them, and now they're falling.
It's too much pressure.
So
a lot of pressure
at the same time.
That's a fact. So, you know, I seen a lot of dudes who couldn't become their greatest selves because they were worried about what their girl thought.
And aside from relationships, like, it almost sounds like that's how it was with you and your friends as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, to answer the question, what I was trying to say was that, you know, I ain't got no I ain't got no bad blood with nobody.
Yeah.
You know, I just know that they ain't my mans. You know, and it's okay. You know, I wish everybody, you know, to be their greatest selves. You know,
And that's powerful. That's powerful because again, I know you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you have a relationship that most people probably don't know about.
Nah,
but
they
I've
don't know.
I've seen you hot, like talking about like F the world at
Yeah,
one point.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's actually good to see you where you at
Yeah.
because now I know for sure that's growth. Like I tell you all the time, you're not the same person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's for the better, which I do applaud in that sense. Word.
I'm glad I'm here. I appreciate you noticing too, man. You know,
Like you said, you glad you're here because life was about to take a major turn.
That's
for
a
you.
fact.
You know what I mean?
It's a fact.
So I'm glad you're here as well. I'm glad you're in a position. Let's tackle it back to music for a 2nd. Okay, what lane would you consider yourself in? Conscience, backpack. You know, there's the fly. There's the swaggy rap. You know what I mean? What would you consider business as an artist?
It's very, very hard, man, because like even my samples, like when I sample my beats, I pick from genres of music that's not the tip. Like,
Bro, I seen you rap over some shit, man, and I'm talking about
Nah, thanks,
I'm
man.
dancing. You know what I'm saying? Word to mother.
appreciate it. Like, I listen. Me, for instance, I don't listen to a lot of rap.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah, like I don't like. Ever since I was young, I always listened to like alternative pop or like folk rock or soul, R&B soul, you know, things of that nature. I listen to rap, but it has to be something that comes from the soul.
Yeah.
And my genre that I would think that I would be categorized in is probably all of that, you know, because I can do all of that.
Yeah.
But if I had like a core, like if I had a name that you would type up in like
Your style of rap, you know.
yeah, my style of rap, I said it in, I forgot what song it was, but probably Hipster House Party.
So that's interesting. That's
So it'd be
interesting.
like alternative hipster house party music.
And I can see where you're going with that
Like
as well.
you know, like
Yeah.
I don't like I can't really I'm not a gangster rapper. I'm not you know, I don't really I talk about women but from the standpoint of relationships and what I experience either firsthand or secondhand.
Yeah.
But it's all true because of my observation based on how things are going.
And your experiences.
Yeah, my experiences. It's like this is truth. This is not just. Not only have I went through it, my man went through it. His man went through it. Like
Everybody's story.
yeah. So you know, it's kind of hard to put me in a bubble.
Because as a fan of yours, I feel like you're a good storyteller.
Thanks, man. I appreciate.
I feel like your personality being funny. I love your raps when you're being witty. You'll say a line that like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Head is good, but the sushi bad. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, like you joking and rapping, you know what I'm saying? But you're being yourself, you know what I mean? And I can honestly say I admire the fact that you don't talk about guns, you don't talk about the streets, but you've also done street things. You know what I mean? But you don't glorify it, which makes it even more dope because it's like I don't have to put myself in that slot to be the person that I actually am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I definitely got a lot of. Sorry, not to cut you
go
off. I definitely got a lot of like backlash for that. Like growing up, like you know, I used to go to niggas' cribs and like niggas have guns laying around, like money, right? And then like niggas would be like counting their money extra, like as if like I took $100 from them, right? So now me, who I am, it's like yo, my nigga, like that's not even money to me.
Can be.
When I was a kid, I remember my mom and dad, they counted $1 million. Like, to the point where their thumbs was black.
Sheesh.
Right? So you showing me 40,000, 30,000, 100,000. I'm not impressed with that.
Yeah. I mean, money ain't supposed to impress you either way.
Either way.
Yeah.
So it's like, we in 2025, right? We could say like the turn of like maybe 20, you know, the 20s is when you start seeing niggas put up $1 million cash on Instagram.
Yeah, facts.
And I seen this 30 years ago. You understand?
Far from impressive.
It was like I just wanted to shy away from that because it was kind of it was traumatic.
Yeah.
You know, it was traumatic, and I felt like I didn't want to latch on to something that was superficial to validate my image. You know?
And you know, that actually, you know, magnifies the suburban rapper too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Because at
that-
the end of the
the
day,
clean cut.
exactly, smooth
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
you know?
target worker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect, because, you know, I had a lot of jobs, too. You know, shout out to everybody who's work punching the clock 9 to 5. I done worked at Best Buy, Circuit City, Target, Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you name it, man. I worked there, you know, and for whatever reason, the people that I met, you know, I still, you know, I see them and I show them love. Like,
Yeah. Remember, I told you I went to the dealership.
oh,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? I met the girl here. So it's interesting how life works. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, facts. That's crazy.
so as far as music, again, we're gonna stay on music. Why did you go on hiatus?
As an artist, I think I'm speaking for like a lot of artists, whether they be painters or musicians.
Yeah.
You reach a point where, well, number one, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I was depressed, bro.
You know, it's funny you say that, and I'm gonna tell you right now, this makes you even more realer. Because I remember one time you called me about something serious, and like you was in the middle of a club, and you called me from the bathroom. I don't even know if you remember.
Okay, let me hear the conversation.
I don't know how deep you, but let me just be real with you. You was crying. You know what I'm saying? You was in the bathroom. You was wiping your face, and you called me. You was talking to me.
Yeah.
But it was about a personal situation you was involved with at that moment. But to hear you say that you was depressed is like, damn.
Yeah, facts.
He don't even remember that you told me this. Like we had this conversation, and to hear you say that, like now I realize you was really going through something.
Yeah, when you go like, it's when you in a dark space, like can't nobody really pull you out except for you. And what happens is when people get stuck in that space is because they become addicted to the pain.
Yeah. Mm.
And you know, I said, man, I can't be here. This is not me. Like, let me go check the mirror. I gotta make sure I'm still him. Like,
That's huge, bro.
let me go look in the mirror. Every now and then I'm looking, whether I'm looking like I'm losing weight, whether I'm going through something, fighting cases, whatever the fuck, you know.
Yeah.
I know that on a higher level of consciousness, you know, there's some people that was sent here to help me grow, and there was some people that was sent here to destroy me.
Or teach you a lesson.
Or teach me a lesson. And I cannot succumb to that negative aspect. So I had to come up out of that. And while working through that, you know, I found myself a lot. Like I did a lot of shadow work. You know, for those out there that don't know what shadow work is, it's looking at yourself internally to find out your shortcomings and the bad attributes about your personality and working on them. That's the shadow works, and I did that.
Because I feel like it was points where I'll meet you at the studio, then I won't hear from you for a few months.
Yeah,
we go back to the studio, you'll freestyle for me, whatever. Yeah. And then it's like, but now I feel like you've come back to a complete circle and ready to get back into this, you know what I mean? I know your last project, Highway Love, you know.
Highway Love.
Do you feel like that was one of, what space were you in at that moment?
It was kind of like, well, one, I wanted to release a project. I had a lot, like even now, I still got a lot of songs sitting, but I wanted to, well, first Highway Love. I had noticed this one day. I was with my mom and we was going up to the Bronx, and she was just listening to like old songs or whatever, and I realized that being in a car, in an automobile. You know, it's a lot of emotional valleys and peaks when you're around people that you love or care about.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that when somebody puts on a song, it's nostalgic. It might remind you of a heartbreak. It might remind you remind you of a good time in life. It might remind you of a bad time in life. But it's all done inside the automobile cabin of a car. Yeah. So you know. That right there is highway love. You know, that's for everybody who's on the highway, you know, and expressing or going through emotional valleys and peaks. You know what I'm saying? So that's where highway love came from.
Okay. And it's seat back, spinning the wheel left.
Yeah, like
work more than she thought.
Pretending to be less.
I mean, it's crazy. That's the beginning to now, and it's always been the same. Which is dope. So what upcoming music do you have? Or any ventures you have, anything going on? Like what's next?
I got well right now as we speak I'm kind of structuring the playlist of Driven 2 Still Driven. I know it's been a while, it's been a long time. It's been 13 years since the first Driven came out.
And Driven is my favorite mixtape.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I wouldn't consider it an album, in my opinion, but it's my favorite.
Nah, Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of cuts on it that was original. Everything on there was original,
The way you
actually.
crafted it was, oh
Yeah,
my god,
yeah.
bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm just working on Driven 2. Um, and I've been sitting with a lot of directors and trying to like work with the visuals
Okay.
to bring a lot of my because I think that's one of the things that I kind of lacked was placing visuals to my music, and a lot of people couldn't really grasp, what I was coming from or my creative aspect
Yeah.
because of them not seeing the visuals
And
of
you
what
not being in the public eye, they
yeah,
can't say, "Oh, it's attached to
yeah,
that."
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
So that's why like one of my favorite videos is Glory.
Is
When
that's
I'm on a bike
okay?
and I
Yes,
go to the
green hoodie.
dealership. No, I had the black hoodie.
Black hoodie. Okay, I got
And
you.
I was riding through Westbury and it was the day of Hurricane Sandy.
Oh wow, the same day.
It was
Oh,
like
wow.
the day before it was about to come. So they was like
Okay, I'm thinking green and gold. That's why I was thinking green.
yeah,
hoodie.
yeah,
I know you're
that was
talking
at the
about.
homecoming.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it was like the visuals, to let people get a understanding of my artistry and what I come from. Well, that's what he meant by that. And it's a lot of double and triple entendres that was always in my music. Whether people listened or not, it was always there. But sometimes if you don't have the visual to put it together, it kind of goes over a lot of people's heads.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean,
but,
is there anything you could ask me to do, or put me in? Like I'm down, to help
I
you in
appreciate
whatever
it,
way. You know what I mean?
100%.
Hopefully, this
Appreciate
is
it.
a start to something new.
Nah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's a good conversation, man, and I just want the people out there to know that Biz is still here, still a Long Island representative, 516-631, Nasty County, Suffolk County. I'm always gonna represent, and I just want everybody to know, like, to just always love yourself. Don't give up. Don't give up on nothing, man, and don't let nobody deter you from your dreams. You know what I'm saying? And honor your parents, because the soul picks its parents.
Absolutely.
So don't, whatever your parents may be going through, don't shun them. They got you here. Your mom is a portal, cuz.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, I just think that that's the main tools, and always be yourself.
That's real.
So.
That's real, bro. I appreciate you coming out, man.
Definitely,
Thank you,
man. Word.